we're going to dig into a co-founder activity that I use with a lot of clients around naming differences between yourself and your co-founder. The purpose of this is to be clear about ways that you and your co-founder operate differently to help improve alignment and role ownership in different areas of a project or business, as well as just to better understand and have more empathy for your co-founder and how they work. The prompt for this is, I see you as more X and me as more Y. Do you agree? So you're identifying a story that you have about how you each work, but then you're also checking in on that. I'll repeat that. I see you as more X, me as more Y. Do you agree? After that, you would like to basically get a little bit curious and ask some follow-up questions to really understand the nuances of what's correct about the story that you have about those differences and what's not, and to get it as clear as possible. So with all that in mind, we're now going to demo this co-founder check-in activity.
All right, Nathan. I see myself as rather unstructured and kind of even flying by the seat of my pants, kind of like making stuff up as I go along. And I see you as maybe more structured or thoughtful or planful about how you go about things. Does that feel true?
Yeah, I think it is and isn't. So I love that being shared with me. I try to create a lot of structure in how I work because I can get excited by a lot of different things. And I have some worries that if I don't have that structure, I won't prioritize the best way, or that I'll miss something that's important, or won't, I guess I have worries around losing that or taking on too much and not being focused enough. And so it's a yes and a no. I implement a lot in different aspects of what I do because I think it supports me. But then there's other areas where I do like being in that creative space, but I kind of need the structure to be creative almost, or to be unstructured. So that's how I see it.
Would it be okay if I asked you another question about that?
Yeah, please.
Because it's making me feel like maybe I actually kind of missed you a little bit. Like I see your behavior, but I wasn't really seeing you. And so I like that you shared that with me. And it also made me curious about spaces where you get to kind of lean into the unstructured part of yourself, and where you do express that.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think about, in some ways, one just broader non-work examples, camping. I think there's flexibility in being outdoors. I think in situations similarly where they're time boxed and it's sort of meant to be more unstructured. And then what's interesting is I'm working on range as a leader, and I've been experimenting with being unstructured in certain areas like collaborating, where I've allowed things to slip through the cracks and sort of bought into the belief that it'll resurface if it does. I found myself ooh, this is really challenging, but that I'm kind of trying to integrate that side more into other areas, because I think it'll help me be more flexible.
I have one more question.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm thinking about, I think I really do lean into being unstructured. And so I'm curious, in our work together, what I can do to better support you in being able to express that full range.
Yeah, I think about, when we're having meetings, let's say, and I always struggle when there's times when it's sort of conversation that doesn't feel directed. Maybe there's a sense of efficiency. I like in those moments if there's even, it's named that, oh yeah, let's, spend more time here, or there's a value, we're doing this intentionally. Those are structured approaches to that. I would say, inviting it also, or noticing if I do that and it feels helpful, that'll give me more feedback on in different scenarios when those different options that I choose are helpful, to kind of find my own way to incorporate it more into work that we do.
So what I think I just heard, I might have gotten a tiny bit lost there, but I'm going to make sure that I'm giving a takeaway, that getting feedback, or me giving you feedback on how your interventions or the way you're structuring or not structuring is being received would be helpful. And that it might also be helpful for you if I can name when we're operating in a structure or when we're kind of in a wide open space, just so that that gets to be a topic of kind of open awareness for both of us.
Yeah, that sounds really, thank you for repeating that back. It feels nice to kind of know that was received.
Cool. I definitely can do that.
Thank you.
Hey folks, so as a reminder, a synthesis of what we just demoed, this activity to do with your co-founder is called naming differences and identifying ways that you both operate differently. It should take anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes. It's an activity you can do regularly, looking into different differences, unpacking nuanced ways in which these differences show up, or different professional examples. And as a reminder, the prompt is, I see you as more X, me as more Y. Do you agree? Then, after asking that question, starting to slowly unpack that. Why do you act that way? What's another example of that? Oh, I see that you're saying it's in your work life, you're more like this, but in other places, you're more like that. Helping them feel heard and getting into the nuances. Some tips: when you're doing this work, like all co-founder sync work, have just one meeting owner who is responsible for driving this successfully and managing the clock. As you're asking questions, the goal is to be curious. Don't start making up stories in your head. Listen, repeat back what you're hearing, and capture the nuance. Be present to what your co-founder is saying. In that same vein, use empathic listening. Pick up on these details. Notice how notice how their voice changes as they feel heard, body language, all those different pieces that go into really deeply listening to your co-founder. And then, when in doubt, just try to find specific examples when this difference has shown up to help you get really clear on how it shows up in work context, and to see how those differences allow you both to think differently, operate differently, how they create complementary effects and sometimes tension in different work scenarios. So it's naming differences. I see you as more X and me as more Y. Do you agree? Thanks.